1943. The Pacific War. American Marines faced an impossible problem. Japanese soldiers fought from caves, deep underground bunkers, interconnected tunnel systems. Conventional weapons were useless. Grenades rolled back out. Flamethrowers could not penetrate far enough. Artillery bounced off rock. Bombing collapsed entrances, but left defenders alive inside. Thousands of Marines died trying to clear these positions. America needed something different, something that could reach deep into caves, something that could not be extinguished, something absolutely lethal. Harvard University chemist Louis Fieser had an idea. Create a gel that sticks to everything, burns intensely, consumes oxygen, cannot be put out with water. A chemical weapon designed specifically for enclosed spaces. The result was napalm, and it changed warfare forever. The chemistry was deceptively simple, but devastatingly effective. Fieser mixed gasoline with aluminum naphthenate and palmitate. The aluminum soaps thickened the fuel into a sticky gel. This gel possessed properties that made it uniquely terrifying. First, adhesion. Regular gasoline splashes and runs off. Napalm sticks to walls, to ceilings, to skin. Once attached, impossible to remove. The victim becomes the fuel. Second, burn temperature. Napalm burns at approximately 1,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt steel, hot enough to vaporize flesh instantly. But the gel burns slowly, prolonging exposure, maximizing damage. Third, oxygen consumption. Burning napalm devours available oxygen. In enclosed spaces like caves, this creates two killing mechanisms: the fire itself and asphyxiation. Defenders suffocate before flames reach them. Fourth, water resistance. Attempting to extinguish napalm with water makes it worse. The gel floats, spreads, carries fire to new areas. The only defense was smothering with sand or dirt, but in a cave system under attack, that was impossible. The military conducted initial tests in spring 1943. Results exceeded expectations. Test bunkers filled with napalm smoke within seconds. Internal temperatures reached lethal levels in under 1 minute. Mock cave systems became death traps. But laboratory success and combat effectiveness are different things. Would it work against real Japanese positions? The first combat deployment occurred during the assault on Tinian in July 1944. Japanese forces had fortified the island with extensive cave networks. Previous attacks on similar positions had cost thousands of American casualties. Marine combat engineers approached a known cave entrance. Defenders had repelled multiple assaults. Machine gun fire from deep inside killed anyone approaching. Grenades and conventional explosives had failed. The engineers carried tanks filled with napalm gel. They sprayed the substance into the cave entrance, coating walls, ceiling, floor, then ignited it. What happened next shocked even the attackers. The napalm ignited with a distinctive whooshing sound. Flames raced deep into the cave system, following every tunnel, every branch, every chamber. The gel stuck to surfaces, creating walls of fire that advanced relentlessly. Within 30 seconds, smoke poured from multiple cave exits hundreds of feet away. The interconnected system became one massive furnace. Temperature inside reached estimated 800 degrees. Defenders had three choices: burn, suffocate, or emerge and surrender. Most chose death inside. Some attempted escape and were shot. A few surrendered, suffering severe burns and smoke inhalation. The cave system that had resisted 3 days of conventional assault was neutralized in under 5 minutes. 0 American casualties. Complete position elimination. Word spread rapidly through Marine units. Napalm became the preferred solution for cave warfare. But its effectiveness came with a terrible price. The weapon did not discriminate. Everyone inside died. Combatants and non-combatants, the wounded, medical personnel, sometimes civilians who had taken shelter. The Tinian operation commander reported conflicting emotions: relief that his Marines no longer died clearing caves, horror at the method required. He wrote in his journal, and I quote, "We have created something that cannot be controlled once released. It kills everything. I pray we never need to use this at home." But the Pacific War offered no alternatives. Japanese defenders fought fanatically. Surrender was considered shameful. Cave positions became common as American forces advanced toward Japan. Each island presented the same tactical nightmare. Iwo Jima demonstrated napalm's strategic value. The island contained an estimated 11 miles of interconnected tunnels. Japanese commander, General Kuribayashi, had transformed the entire island into a fortress. Conventional assault would have cost tens of thousands of American lives. Marine flamethrower teams and napalm specialists worked in coordination. Identify cave entrance, spray napalm, ignite, move to next position. The systematic approach cleared positions that conventional weapons could not touch, but the psychological impact affected both sides. Japanese soldiers developed terror of the gel weapon. Radio intercepts revealed conversations describing napalm as demon fire. Some defenders committed suicide rather than face burning. Others abandoned positions when napalm deployment began. American troops struggled with the weapon's nature. Using napalm meant accepting that you were burning people alive. The screams carried from deep inside caves, the smell of burning flesh, the knowledge that some victims might have surrendered if given the chance. One Marine wrote home, "We do not talk about the napalm. We use it because nothing else works, but using it changes you. I will hear those sounds forever." The weapon's effectiveness created a strategic dilemma: military necessity versus ethical boundaries. Napalm clearly saved American lives. Each cave cleared with napalm meant Marines who did not die in direct assault. But the method violated deep human instincts about acceptable warfare. Commanders justified use through utilitarian calculation. More total lives saved by using napalm than lost to it. Japanese military doctrine forced this choice. They built cave fortifications specifically to maximize American casualties. Napalm was the counter. By 1945, napalm had become standard issue. Engineers carried gel tanks alongside explosives. Aircraft dropped napalm bombs on suspected cave systems. The substance was used in every major Pacific operation. Okinawa saw the most extensive deployment. The island's limestone geology created perfect conditions for cave defenses. Japanese forces had prepared hundreds of fortified positions. American forces responded with industrial-scale napalm use. Statistics from Okinawa operation reveal the weapon's impact. Approximately 3,000 cave positions neutralized. Estimated 30,000 Japanese soldiers killed by napalm. American casualties during cave assaults dropped 70% compared to previous island operations. But these numbers represented human beings burned alive. Soldiers who fought for their country, who believed in their cause, who died in arguably the most horrifying way possible. Post-war interviews with Japanese survivors revealed the terror. One former soldier described seeing napalm approach his position. "We heard the whoosh, then heat, then screaming. Everyone ran, but the fire followed. It found you. There was no escape." Another survivor reported, "I was in a deep chamber, thought I was safe, Then smoke arrived. Could not breathe. Crawled toward entrance. Found only fire. My friends burning. I do not know how I survived. American scientists who developed napalm had mixed feelings about their creation. Louis Fieser later said he felt no guilt because the weapon shortened the war and saved lives. But he admitted that seeing combat footage disturbed him deeply. Other researchers involved in the project refused to discuss their work publicly. One chemist reportedly destroyed his research notes and never worked in weapons development again. Another suffered nightmares for decades. The weapon's use raised questions that persist today. When does military necessity justify horrifying methods? Are some weapons too terrible to use regardless of effectiveness? Does the enemy's tactics justify responding with equally brutal methods? These questions have no simple answers, but napalm forced military ethicists and international lawyers to confront them directly. After World War II, napalm became controversial. Its use in Korea and Vietnam generated massive protests. Images of napalm victims shocked the world. The weapon that seemed justified against Japanese cave systems appeared different when used in other contexts. International conventions eventually restricted incendiary weapon use against civilians, but military applications remained legal. The chemistry developed by Fieser continued evolving. Modern versions burn hotter and stick better. Today, militaries worldwide maintain napalm or similar incendiary weapons. The tactical problems it solved still exist: fortified positions, tunnel networks, bunker complexes. Modern warfare still sometimes requires weapons that can reach deep into protected spaces. But every military that uses incendiary weapons must wrestle with the same ethical questions American forces faced in the Pacific. Is the tactical advantage worth the moral cost? How do you justify using weapons that cause such extreme suffering? The napalm story reveals warfare's fundamental tragedy. Good people forced to make terrible choices. Scientists creating horror in service of ending conflict. Soldiers using weapons they hate because the alternative is worse. Louis Fieser developed napalm, believing it would save lives by shortening the war. The mathematics supported this. Conservative estimates suggest napalm prevented 50,000 American casualties by making cave assaults survivable. But those saved lives came at the cost of enemy soldiers burned alive. The calculation was ruthless. American lives valued over enemy lives. Military necessity prioritized over human suffering. This is not unique to napalm or World War II. Every war forces such calculations. But napalm made the trade explicit, made the horror visible, made the moral compromise impossible to ignore. So when you hear about napalm, remember it represents more than military innovation. It represents humanity's capacity for both brilliance and brutality, our ability to solve problems, and our willingness to use terrible means. Remember that desperate circumstances push people to desperate measures, that good intentions sometimes create monstrous outcomes, that victory often requires compromising values you fight to protect. And remember that the men who used napalm were not monsters. They were soldiers following orders, using available tools, trying to survive, trying to win, trying to go home. They did not choose the weapon. They just lived with the consequences. The same applies to the scientists. They did not create napalm from cruelty. They created it from necessity, from the pressure to end a brutal war, from the knowledge that their side was losing men to enemy tactics. Was napalm justified? That depends on your ethical framework. Consequentialists argue, yes, the results justified the method. Deontologists argue, no. Some actions are wrong regardless of outcome. Both positions have merit. Both represent legitimate moral reasoning. The question has no definitive answer because war itself has no clean solutions. What we can say definitively is this: napalm worked. It solved the tactical problem of cave warfare. It saved American lives. It caused unimaginable suffering. It remains controversial 70 years later. That is the legacy. Not good or evil, not justified or criminal. Just the terrible complexity of warfare, the impossible choices, the lasting scars on everyone involved. So when you see napalm mentioned in history books or documentaries, understand it as more than a weapon. See it as a mirror reflecting humanity's darkest capabilities and most desperate circumstances. See it as a reminder that war makes everyone into something they never wanted to be. And perhaps, hopefully, let that understanding motivate working toward a world where such weapons are never needed, where conflicts end through means that do not require burning people alive, where the tactical problems napalm solved simply do not exist. That is the only truly acceptable response to napalm's history. Not justification, not condemnation, but commitment to preventing situations where such weapons seem necessary. Because the moment napalm seems justified, we have already failed.